is the muddy backwoods Tallahatchie River, where a weighted body was found, alleged to be that of young Emmett Till.
Emmett Till, a 14-year-old African-American boy from Chicago, Illinois, went to spend his summer vacation in Money, Mississippi with his uncle Mose Wright. This small town, north of Greenwood, Mississippi, was soon to be the setting for one of the most important but devastating murders in American history. Although Emmett Till's murder was a dagger in the heart of many blacks in the United States, it eventually helped to catalyze the civil rights movement and continues to influence people's lives as we see parallels with white supremacist acts in society today. At the time, Money, Mississippi was a tough area in race relations matters. The murder occurred about 4 months after the Supreme Court had ruled on the second version of the Brown versus Education case. This landmark in the United States Supreme Court was the case that ruled the segregation of schools unconstitutional. Although slavery was abolished over a century before, racism was still raging, especially in the South. Emmett's uncle, Mose Wright, was a cotton farm sharecropper. Blacks were not enslaved because that was against the law, but used as sharecroppers where their profits went to the white male property owners.
Before she let them go, Mamie schooled the boys on the ways of the South.
I let them know that Mississippi was not Chicago. And when you go to Mississippi, you're living by an entirely different set of rules. It is yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, yes, sir, and no, sir. And, Bo, if you see a white woman coming down the street, you get off the sidewalk and drop your head. Don't even look at her.
On August 27, 1955, Emmett and his cousin Wheeler Till entered the Bryant's Grocery and Meat Market, where Carolyn Bryant, a 21-year-old woman married to Roy Bryant, was working at the front desk. The Bryants prided themselves on keeping local blacks in line through intimidation and cruelty, and were not well liked in the town.
This was the home of Mose Wright. It was from this shack the state alleges Emmett Till was taken by Roy Bryant and J.W. Malum.
Sunday morning, about 2:30, someone called at the door. And I said, "Who is it?" And he said, "This is Mr. Bryant. I want to talk with you and the boy." And when I opened the door, there was a man standing with a pistol in one hand and a flashlight in the other hand.
Emmett was allegedly seized from his Uncle Mo's home 4 days after Emmett had supposedly wolf whistled at Mrs. Bryant.
She came out of the store and went to her car, which was parked on the north side of the store. And as she was going to her car, that's when Emmett whistled at her, the famous wolf whistle.
Yes, he whistled at Carolyn Bryant when she came out of the store.
After Emmett had gone missing for 4 days, while fishing, Robert Hodges, a local resident, encountered his body 12 miles north of Money. Emmett's face was completely unrecognizable, but his body was identified by his deceased father, Louis Till's initial engraved ring that he had on his right hand.
The sheriff came and told me they had found the body at Phillip and wanted me to go and identify the body, which I did. And we found the body with didn't have on any clothes at all. The body was so badly damaged that we couldn't hardly just tell who he was. but he happened to have on a ring with his initials, and that cleared it up.
Sheriff Strider, the sheriff in town, ordered for there to be a burial without the consent of Mammy. Before the burial could happen, she insisted that the body would be brought back to Chicago for a funeral.
I saw his tongue had been choked out and it was lying down on his chin. This eye was out and it was lying about midway the cheek. I looked at this eye and it was gone. A hole about here, and I could see daylight on the other side. I also discovered that they had taken an axe and they had gone straight down across his head, and the face and the back of the head were separate.
Instead of constantly mourning the death of her son, Mammy used Emmett's murder to propel herself to be a critical civil rights activist and continued to speak at public protests until her death in 2003.
I believe that the whole United States is mourning with me. And if the death of my son can mean something to the other unfortunate people all over the world, then for him to have died a hero would mean more to me than for him just to have died.